The ship was departing from Pier 17, where it was heading out to sea. The pilot, the captain that was maneuvering the ship, lost, power of the ship and the current, mechanical function caused the ship to go right into the pillar of the bridge, hitting the mast of the ship.
Now, that was NYPD's Special Operations Chief describing the crash of this Mexican Navy training ship into the Brooklyn Bridge. 2 people died. Dozens were injured after the ship's masts struck the bottom of the bridge. Now, an investigation into what caused this crash, that's still ongoing. But authorities say the ship, as you heard, may have suffered some mechanical issue that caused it to lose control. CNN's Gloria Pazmino is back with us now, and you have some more details for us. What do you know?
Yeah, Victor, one thing that's becoming very clear in the last several hours is we're learning more about the details of the ship, which raise new questions about exactly why the ship was going in the direction that it was going in the first place. As you can see in the bystander video, that mast of the ship hits the underbelly of the Brooklyn Bridge as it is collapsing up against one of the pillars of the bridge. Now, the Cuauhtémoc, which is behind me, this is a ship that's 160 feet tall. It has 3 masts. And the navigational clearance of the Brooklyn Bridge is only 127 feet. So we have a real question here about why the ship was heading in this direction. We were told last night that the Cuauhtémoc was making its way out of the harbor here in New York City, heading towards Iceland. But as we can see in the video, it was navigating towards the Brooklyn Bridge, which clearly is not tall enough for this ship to get under. Now, I want to show you the ship behind me. It was towed here to Pier 35 late last night, and you can see right at the top that mast that hit the bottom of the Brooklyn Bridge. And you can see it's bent on its side and it's snapped almost like a tree branch when it hit the underside of the bridge. Now, there was no damage to the bridge, which had to shut down for about 45 minutes last night in both directions while they were assessing whether or not there had been any damage to it. And as you said, early stages of this investigation, sadly, 2 people died as a result of their injuries. At least 20 were injured and sent to the hospital. In total, 277 people were on board this ship at the time of the accident. As you said, Victor, the Cuauhtémoc belongs to the Mexican Navy, and it was here in New York City as part of a goodwill mission sailing around the world, you know, kind of a display of culture and Mexican pride. That's what it had been doing here in New York City in the past few days. It had been docked at Pier 17, which is in that direction, and it was late last night as it was making its way out of the harbor here in New York City that it struck the pillar of the bridge. In that video, Victor, you can just see how stunning it is. You can see just how close it got to where people are on the public parks there that are around the Brooklyn Bridge. You can see how many people are there, and you can sort of appreciate how much worse this accident could have been had the ship hit either another part of the bridge or perhaps another part of the pier. So I think all of those questions will be part of this investigation. The National Transportation Safety Board also expected to be a part of that investigation to try and figure out exactly what happened here other than an apparent loss of power.
Or even if the mast had collapsed onto the deck, because there were hundreds of crew members who were there. We can see in the video, as tragic as this is with the 2 lives lost and the dozens injured, this could have been much worse. Gloria Pazmino for us there with the reporting at Pier 35. Joining me now to discuss, CNN transportation analyst Mary Schiavo. Mary, good morning to you. So there is a Voyage data recorder, which I imagine is the marine equivalent of the data recorders we talk about in aviation incidents. What can be harvested from them, and how soon could we get that information?
Well, what will be harvested for them will be anything related to the mechanical positional things on the ship. And then depending on how the ship is instrumented, there can be instruments that read the depths of the waters, the currents, any control input into that ship would be on there. And then, of course, there will be additional data about the river itself. And the East River is a tidal river, so technically it's an estuary, and the boat could not have been intended to be going under that bridge, because remember, even if it cleared the Brooklyn Bridge, there are 5 more it has to clear if it went that way on the river, and they all have a clearance of about 127 to 135 feet. But with the tides coming and going, that can change it by 5 to 7 feet, which means it's a pretty strong current, pretty strong tide. And so the instrument recorders can also record when power was lost, and it had to have been lost. They could not have been intending to go that way, to go under the bridge. It's impossible. When it was lost, why it was lost. And they will also be looking at who was the pilot. Was it a local pilot? Often the local pilot will be brought on board to help navigate the tricky waters, but it depends. And so all those things will be revealed, and the investigators will have that information almost instantaneously. They probably already have it and are starting to go over it.
Let's put up a map here to show just how close, for people who are not familiar, Pier 17 is to the Brooklyn Bridge. And to kind of double down and bold and underline your point, if this ship was headed toward Iceland and they were heading out toward open sea to get there, they certainly would not have gone in this direction. And the distance traveled between embarking on that trip to Iceland and the hit there at the Brooklyn Bridge wasn't very far, but it was being accompanied by a tug. Should we have expected, or could the tug have done anything to prevent this?
It depends on the power of the tug and what the tug knew. What were the communications line? Did they immediately communicate that they'd lost power? And that will be one of the important points of the investigation. And they'll also be looking at the maintenance records on that ship. Had it had problems with the control, the engines, the power, et cetera? As just a year or so ago, we saw that when we had the accident. We covered the accident in Baltimore. The ship had been having trouble, but it will depend on the lines of communication. And with the tug, you are supposed to have communications at all times. But it's possible that the currents were strong and it could not save it in time. And it also would depend, of course, if they dropped anchor.
Yeah. You bring up the Dolly that crashed into the Key Bridge in Baltimore last year. Some obvious differences between the two. The Key Bridge collapsed. The Brooklyn Bridge is open this morning. The 6 people who died as a result of that collapse were living in Maryland, and the 2 who died in this incident are Mexican citizens. Does that alter the approach, the intensity of the NTSB investigation at all?
No, the NTSB, of course, Mexico will be part of the investigation. And the NTSB is very used to dealing with investigations that concern entities, parties, if you will, to the investigation from all over the world. No, there won't be any problem in coordination with the investigation. They're just used to doing big international investigations, maritime, rail, aviation. They have to do them all. And there won't be a problem with that. And the same thing on the Dolly. The crew was from around the world, so they're used to it.
Mary Schiavo, good to have you. Thank you. I have a question related to the incident we saw with the ship in New York. After the Dolly crashed into the Key Bridge in Baltimore, the FBI opened a criminal investigation. And so both now are fatal incidents that hit bridges, NTSB investigating. What's the catalyst? What's the threshold to determine whether this also reaches the level of even looking to the potential of criminal activity here?
I think the answer to that, Victor, is going to turn on the issue of the boat losing power. That's kind of the similarity, right, between those 2 incidents.
Yeah.
In the case of the bridge in Maryland, there was immediately a question as to whether or not the people on the boat may have been responsible for the loss of power or may not have reacted appropriately when they discovered the loss of power. If they have those same sort of concerns or questions about last night's incident, then I would expect they'll react the same way. It won't make any difference to the FBI that one ship was owned by the government of Mexico and another one was a private carrier. That's not really a concern for them. There's also the possibility that the FBI would get involved to assist the kind of technical aspects of the investigation, the crime scene, as it were. Now, of course, this happened in New York City, one of the largest and most capable police departments in the world. It's unlikely they'll need a lot of FBI assistance, but that's another way that the Bureau frequently gets involved.
Andrew McCabe, thank you.